Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dodson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 191 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Dodson, and welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to be talking about leaving something behind and the purpose of the online long range shooting school, the armorers course, the reloading classes, all the things that we're going to take a lot of time this year to record and sort of dive into the reasons why and what led us to try to take on this monumental task. It wasn't really about making a shooting school. It wasn't about putting another piece of content out there, but really a document or a docuseries or a documentary of all the things that we've learned over the years, all the things that we've struggled through with teaching and our life's experiences. You know, we're all getting older. We're all going to eventually either have to retire or no longer be here, and really just wanted to leave something behind while we're on our A game and something that 20 years from now somebody might be able to log on to and enjoy. So I want to dive into a little bit on the history of the online long-range shooting school and what we're sort of working for when we're working through these new video series that we've been posting up. So you can learn more about that at wolfprecision.net, but really excited for this one. Just going to share some personal thoughts with you and some goals that we've set down. So without further ado, here we go. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to two of our sponsors. MDT is a maker of fine rifle chassis, lots of different makes and models, from the MDT Timber, which just came out, the JE 700, to the Oryx, which is probably one of my favorite unsung heroes in the MDT lineup for a sub $500 chassis. How good it is, how strong it is, fully adjustable, really great piece of kit. So if you want to upgrade your game or your rifle, you can stop over to mdttac.com. That's mdttac.com. We'd also like to thank Krieger Barrels. Krieger is the maker of fine cut rifle barrels. They are made in the great state of Wisconsin, a family-owned and operated business. They've been making cut rifle barrels probably longer than most in the bench rest world, and really what I would consider to be the best that the U.S. has to offer when it comes to making fine rifle barrels. We use them extensively here for our upgraded rifles that we make. It is an option for our rifles. Their lead times can be 9 months to a year for when we order for in-stock inventory here. But they have a new program called Krieger Direct where you can log in and get your barrel in as little as 2 to 3 business days, which we find to be fascinating. So if you want the best and you need it now, stop over to KriegerBarrels.com. That's KriegerBarrels.com today. So we're really getting ready to wrap up the online long-range shooting school and start diving into what we consider bonus content. So all the little tricks and tips and field shooting things that we might teach in our ballistics class or field shooting class, really just try to share with you as we're going to the range, as we're working through students, or let's just say we have an in-person school and we see something. We're going to record it and put it up under bonus content because this is stuff that we see all the time. But the online long-range shooting school started about 2 years ago, and I just want to dive into the history of it and the reasoning behind it. It wasn't about just putting something else up there for sale. It wasn't about trying to create a Patreon page where we make $49 a month off of everybody we can get signed up for. It really wasn't about any of that. It was about really trying to document everything that we've learned or everything that I've learned over the last 30 plus years of shooting. So I know I look young, and in a lot of the videos, especially in my younger years, it worked against me because I would be, in my 40s and people think I'm in my 20s. And I know that sounds like a good thing sometimes, but in our world, they look at age as a little bit more of respect and that you've been around a while. And when you look much younger than you are and you got a baby face, sometimes that plays against you a little bit, right? But what the motivation was for the online school was this. I did 24 years of military and law enforcement combined. In that time, I did everything from aviation to MP to CERT teams to police officer. I mean, you name it, I was in it, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I wouldn't trade a moment of that for the world. Inside there, I competed and got an opportunity with Leupold and Hornady back in the early years of helping me out as a shooter. Competed in sniper matches all over the eastern seaboard, competing and placing and even winning a fair amount of matches. And really enjoying the love and passion of long-range shooting. Going back prior to that, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, as soon as I could just con my parents into leaving me hang that 22 long rifle above my bed in my bedroom. So I don't know how old everybody here is that listens to the podcast, but if you remember, you could buy like a little wall gun rack where you could put like 3 or 4 guns up and let them hang on the wall. And they had a little like shelf in there that you could put your ammo. And so I had one of those in my bedroom. It took me forever to ask my parents to beg and plead that I can keep my rifle in my room. And my first 22 was a single shot. It was a hand-me-down from my grandfather. And it was one of the ones where you had to pull the firing pin back and cock it back to shoot it. And I finally talked my parents into leaving me have that in my bedroom. Man, what an experience that was, right? I'm dry firing. I'm practicing all my techniques. I did it so much, I would get blisters on my hands from pulling the firing pin back and recocking it and practicing. And I know you probably weren't supposed to dry fire rimfires, but come on, this is a 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-old, kid who's just excited to have something that looks like a gun in his room, right? And I would go out and shoot it all summer. Every chance I got it. I'll share with you guys maybe later on. I'll do a little video. I'll take you back to my home property and where I grew up along the Juniata River and share with you really where I learned to shoot, how I learned to shoot, and the things that I did with a 22 was just incredible. If you think back just about how poorly the rifles were and their inability to shoot like today's modern rifles and just what we did to grow and learn. And oh man, I would mow grass all summer long for 22 ammo. I'd go to the hardware store. I got 50 cents in my pocket. 75 cents. So I would buy 22 shorts because you could buy a box of those for less than $1. So that's where my shooting started from. And when you take over the next 24 years as growing into a young man and then into an adult, all the military and law enforcement training, all the stuff that I've done leading through there, and then you tie into that competitive shooting and really learning and growing as a competitor, competing against some of the best shooters in the world. And then from there, of course, my curiosity never stopped, and I wanted to learn how to build rifles, and I wanted to build my own. I just wanted to know it was done right and confidence. And I thought, well, maybe there's something here that I can make the rifle better with, and really that's what was the start of the ACE, trying to find a way to repeatably make the best rifle you can make every single time. And that started us down the road to now we set in a 10,000 square foot building with new machines. And I mean, it's just amazing. I have to pinch myself sometimes when I walk in the door, like where we started from and where we're at now is just absolutely amazing. Hard work, but amazing. But in that time frame, I started to try to help other competitive shooters. So it wasn't uncommon for me to take a guy to the range trying to get on a team somewhere and just asking for pointers. Of course, some of the guys that knew me knew that I loved to shoot. I had a passion for rifles and could work my way around them. Keep in mind, I was a varmint hunter my whole life, shooting, woodchucks at extended ranges, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 yards, 1,000 yards. If you can hit a woodchuck at 700 yards, then, a piece of steel or scoring ring isn't all that difficult, especially when you're learning to shoot these things in field conditions. So, I really tuned up on my shooting with all of that because a lot of times you only got one shot at them. They took off. And going to the sniper matches, my first couple sniper matches I went to, it was just amazing on how, I was nervous, of course, and I thought, man, I'm going to embarrass myself amongst a group of, people that I admire, great shooters. And I didn't do all that bad. I really surprised myself. And I thought, I've done all this before. It's just my targets had a little fur on them, or a little bit smaller. And I used to joke around and say that I really learned the art of long-range shooting, varmint hunting. And there is some truth to that, for sure. But I went from helping guys and teaching, and like my dad never shot long-range before, and brought him in and got him into a little bit of match shooting. Really wasn't his cup of tea, but he did love the long-range varmint hunting. And I just had him out yesterday or the day before, for an example, and he's able to dial out to 1,000 yards. He's able to dial out 300, 400 yards. He knows his way around the rifle. He's confident in dialing at distance. That's what it's all about, right? But about 2 years ago, it really dawned on me. I've been teaching the long-range shooting school now here for going on 16 years. I teach it myself. I usually have a helper, but I'm in every single class. And the reason I am is there's just so much experience that I've learned, what works and what doesn't work. Sometimes what different students struggle with and what to look for to try to help them. It would just take a mentor or, me bringing somebody on for 5 consecutive years just to get them to see everything we see at the range one time. It's sort of amazing. And then the same thing with the 24 years of military and law enforcement, same thing with all the time that I've spent competing. And then I really learned a lot when I started teaching. My first couple of years of teaching the shooting school, I thought it went great. We certainly didn't charge enough, and we had way more students in it than we had to because we didn't charge enough. And man, I learned so much. It was amazing. Like some of the better shooters that we've mentored over the years that have gone on and got to spend time with and helped us with the school have gone on to win the PRS series, has gone on to win. I believe one of them won the senior division a couple years ago, one of our instructors here. And what really makes a difference is when you start to teach, because it's one thing to know what to do. It's a whole nother world when you're trying to explain it to somebody else and say, here's something in my head that I know that works. How do I translate that to somebody else to make it make sense, right? And going on 16 years, it's just absolutely amazing. What has dawned on me, though, especially the last couple of years when we're starting the manufacturing side and everything else, is I'm getting older. I'm slowly and surely, my laps around the sun are going faster, and it won't be too much longer. I'll probably be in my 60s and then 70s, right? And it really, there was a tugging in my heart that said, look, you're almost on your A game. You might be the sharpest you'll ever be. And from here on out, although you'll continue learning and teaching and enjoying it, eventually you're going to start to slip a little bit, or you're not going to remember all the things that you've learned over the years. And the reason I started the online long-range shooting school was simply as if something happened to me. I said to my wife years ago that if anything happened to me right now, years ago, that everything would just disappear because it all depended on Jamie. Like everything that I've learned would be lost. Everything that I've shared at the school would be lost forever. And I thought, I don't want that to happen. If I can just pass something along or leave something behind, like if something happens to me 5 years from now, God forbid, and that's the end, right? That I wanted to leave something that maybe 20 years from now, although I'm not sure how they would watch the video because I'm sure it'll be quite different format than what it is now, but maybe I can leave something behind, maybe something in the passion of what we love to do, maybe something that I say or something that I teach or something, a way that we show somebody to hold something. Maybe we can still leave a little bit of a legacy behind that we can still make a difference in people's lives, even after we're long gone. So I started the whole process myself. It was a lot of work. So I was the camera crew, lights crew, stage. I was photo editing as well as writing all the scripts and doing all the filming. Now, the filming part was easy because I'm actually teaching everything that we teach here in the shooting school itself. So going over everything that we share in the class, and a lot of the stuff is nitpicky stuff that we know makes a difference, and trying to go into detail as to why we teach these things and how they work. And, that part was easy. The hard part was always setting everything up, tearing everything down, making the time to do it. And then, of course, all the editing, and we're dealing with cameras and white balance and lights and all. Audio is always a big issue. And now we've just about completed it. It's pretty amazing. It took 2 years. So we have been working on the project. And you probably even notice in the videos how much older I look in the last videos compared to the first couple that we did. And it was just a passion. We just kept plugging away at it. We kept trying to figure out how we can protect ourselves, teaching the shooting school. So somebody doesn't get on there, it's not supposed to be on there, or, want to hold us liable for anything. So there's always that worry. You hate to have everything that you worked for torn down or something like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with the reloading class. I've been reloading my whole life. I remember my first hand loads. I remember the rifle I loaded for. I was a teenager going by the book with my dad with a single stage press and a balance beam scale. That was it. And made some incredible hand loads, made my eyeballs pop out of my head. Just how good the rifle shot and how much fun it was to make that ammo. And then grew into an advanced hand loader, like trying to compete and really learning what to do and what not to do, and all the great advice or death by good intentions that you read on the internet, that all these crazy things that people have done, bench rest shooters especially, not picking on you, I love you to pieces, but sometimes the bench rest shooters are really over the top when it comes to this stuff. So going through the reloading class, we're going to be filming it. We're going to be putting it up. We're going to take the chance and put it out there. Not because it's just another content creator. We're trying to share with you, and I am trying to share with you everything that I've learned to make great ammunition. And it's part of the system. Like, if you're going to get into shooting and you love to shoot, you're going to have to learn some of the fundamentals. They are the anchor point. And, even just to go back to this podcast and listen to our 4 pillars of marksmanship, there's a ton of value in that. But these are rules of the road. These are things that are going to help you shoot your best and have more fun at the range than frustration. But eventually you're going to have to get into hand loading unless you've got an excessive amount of funds, or you might have to get into hand loading just because components get hard to get sometimes. So you're either going to stop your shooting, which for me, that would be terrible, or you're going to have to learn to make your own ammunition and, have some brass and powder and some things in stock that you can make ammunition for the next year or two and go out and enjoy yourself. Then you get into taking care of the rifle, which is the armorer's course. We are committed to both. They are both on Patreon now. We just posted up video 3 of the reloading class. We are going to teach our in-person reloading class, which is basically, again, like the last 35 years of my life in reloading, 40 years of just sharing with you everything that I can, the things that I've learned that make a difference, the things that, hey, you could do this if you like. I'm not sure if I see any value in it. And then I always like to share the pros and cons, because in reloading, everything that you do can have a negative effect somewhere else in the process. So I like to share with you how we approach it, a very simple way, a very safe way that we can make just super high quality ammunition and spend more time at the range than on the reloading bench too. And I think that's important. And then the last part, of course, to all of this is the armorer's course. Now, the armorer's course is interesting. It really is about building and maintaining rifles. It's about taking a rifle from the box, whether it's custom or not. So if you buy Tikka, like my first rifles were Savages and Tikkas, right? You can take that rifle, know what to look for, how to put it together, how to properly clean it, how to put your scope on properly, some of the do's and don'ts with cleaning and maintaining them, how to get in there and break in the bolt if you want to. I can show you all kinds of really cool tricks that we've learned over the years that would apply to both custom and factory. And then also share with you some do's and don'ts, like pros and cons to some of the upgrades and processes that you'll see people do quite often. There's a yin and yang to a lot of the things that we do. A good and a bad can come out of it. And a lot of times, if you're trying to improve the accuracy of a rifle, the things you're doing to try to improve it, if you don't do it perfectly, you can actually degrade the quality of your rifle. So it's one of those things you either have to do it right or you shouldn't do it at all, because the negatives can come out and actually make a worse condition than what you started with as well. So the armorer's course, which I'm really excited about, is going to be really focused on building and maintaining rifles, sharing with you how we do switch barrels here with the A system, sharing with you how to put your optics on properly, how to properly zero, how we bore sight them, just simple things like that. And then they sort of go in order in our tiers. So our online long-range shooting school, that, of course, is our first tier. And you can sign up for it. You can unregister and come back next year. And I always recommend to people go to our website while they're attending and actually click on the videos on our website. And the reason being is they're in chronological order. And then you can also look at the different topics on the same page and pick out what you want to go back and review. We think there's sort of value to that. And then from there, we get into the armorer's course. And of course, the top tier is going to be the reloading class. The reason we put them in that direction is I feel that that's the direction you should learn it. For the guy that's just getting started, the armorer's course and reloading class probably isn't for you yet. Get into learning the art of marksmanship, and then start learning to take care of your rifle, and then start learning to reload. Don't try to take it on at one time. But one of the things I did add to the reloading class at that tier is that we're going to do a monthly video chat in which we'll probably cover a subject of some kind. It might not always be reloading, but we'll cover a subject, maybe 20 minutes, give a little demonstration on something that we've been working on. And then we'll do some Q&A. Get a chance to actually interact with you and let you, like we do in the classroom here, because everybody always has questions. And unfortunately, in the video format, we can share the information only in one direction. We can't reply and we can't talk to you in the other direction, right? We can't take questions and then post them back up on the same video. So the video chat gives us a chance to one-on-one address some things that are in detail when it comes to reloading, where people get hung up. And it's all kinds of different things that we'll see and hear in the class from people that have been reloading for 20 years and then leave after 2 days of the in-person reloading class here and scratching their head like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much. And so many things that they learn sometimes are good and sometimes maybe are bad. So we just try to share with you our professional opinion. The whole purpose of all of the classes is, as we're moving forward, again, it's really a documentary. I'm working on a book right now, actually a small one that's going to go with our custom rifles here, and then a much larger one, which I want to cover in detail in writing a lot of the different things that we've learned over the years, and super excited to put that out. I think technology has made writing a little bit easier, but really, I want to try to document as much as I can while I'm still on my A game and share with everybody as much as I can while I'm still on my A game. And then also, as we're growing as a business, a lot of the things that we're putting on all 3 of these tiers are questions that people ask all the time. And unfortunately, as our business grows, as much as I love to take the time to talk to customers and, talk with them about their builds, what they're working on, we really appreciate that. But at the same time, I could spend 10 hours a day on the phone, answering the same question over and over again to 60 or 80 or 100 different people, and our business would flounder. And so it would be really irresponsible of me to do that. And so the other, for me, it may be a little self-serving, but the other benefit is that we're able to share all the commonly asked questions or all the things that people run into problems with there, that they could go and pick out the subject and not just have a 5-minute conversation with me and hang up the phone and 5 minutes later be like, what did he say? So here we can get into a 30 or 40-minute conversation about that subject and share with you not just a quick answer, but actually in detail of the answer and how it works and how to approach it, how to fix it. And really that was the other part. And the last part for me is, I'm married. We've been together over 25 years. Now we're getting into our empty nesting years, and I want to leave something behind if anything ever happens to me for my wife. That here is something that I took the time and effort that even 20 years from now she can go back and she can watch and sort of get a giggle and laugh at me a little bit. And, something there for her that 20 years from now, hopefully these video contents will still be up there and they'll outlive me and maybe even outlive her, and my daughter will be getting a giggle out of it, right? So really it's about that as well. It's about sharing everything that we can and documenting it while we can, and that way maybe it'll outlive us, and maybe 50 years from now it'll have some value to it of some kind to somebody getting into long-range shooting or wanting to know how to get rifles old school by then, right? I'm sure that technology will well surpass the recoil and how we do minutes and mills and how we call wind. And by then, it'll be going back to the Stone Age years of how we used to call wind and how we used to measure it. But there's still probably some good value to that. And maybe someone will get a giggle about how they used to do it back in the old days. So anyway, we're going to start into the Armorer's course. The first video will be posted up next week. We are going full bore on all of them. And a lot of us is try to answer a lot of the commonly asked questions that we get. So we can share it with you in a format where we can get into a lot more detail. And so really it's about trying to share as much as we can and then document it one time. I can take 30, 40 minutes and cover a subject in detail, but I don't have to do it 3 times a week for the next, 62 weeks or 80 weeks or 100 weeks with individual customers. Because we find it as a business, it's a little irresponsible for me as the business owner and the leader of our team here, but it's also really counterproductive. As much as we want to share it, it would be really foolish for me to do that over and over again on the phone rather than trying to put it out in a way that people can access it, get the information, but not me repeating it over and over again as the clock ticks away for all of us. It's always counting down. Nobody knows where the end for any of us is going to be. And I have to make sure that every minute that I'm spending doing something productive and that it has I would consider like a 10x or a multiplying factor. So I don't want to do something that's just at that point. Like, for example, the shooting schools, I do them because I love them. It's sort of my passion, right? Somebody asked me when I retired, what are you going to do when you retire? And I said, I'm probably going to build rifles and teach a long-range shooting school, right? So I still do a handful of those every year. We just posted up 2 more for this year, so I think we're at a total of 10, and that'll be it for this year. I still do those. Those are my favorite things to do. spending time on the firing line, with friends and customers and clients, and just really getting a chance to spend 3 days on the line with rifles. That's what got me into this to begin with. But when I work on things here, I try not to do anything that's a one and done type thing. Like, I don't want to trade an hour for an hour's worth of pay, or for the leader of the company. I can't do that. It's not just Jamie now. It's Jamie and other team members, and other team members' family are counting on this business to produce an income over and over again, to pay their salaries, pay their benefits, to pay all the things that come along with working with us, so we can have good team members. And so I can't do that. Anything I do, I have to have a multiplying factor to it. It has to have something of value that we can put out there, and it's there forever. I put a big effort into it one time, and then I can save it and archive it, and it might be something that will benefit me not having to redo that again over and over again for the next 10 years. And that's sort of what the online classes are for. You will see that there will no longer be like in-person classes for the reloading classes. There'll be no more in-person classes for the armorer's course outside of what we call a customer delivery day, which we still offer. But we're going to move all that content online to free that time up as we get into more manufacturing and offering more and more quality products, and really trying to hone in on what is our A game for both a hunting rifle and a tactical rifle. We're sort of working on that now. Before we finish the podcast up, I do want to say thank you to our last sponsor. TriggerTech is a maker of fine rifle triggers. They are made in the great Canadian North. I love them because I think they're the easiest to install, easiest to adjust, and for me, the most important part, safe. If you want to upgrade your rifle factory custom, you can go over to triggertech.com. They have everything from single stage to two stage to straight shoes to curved shoes for lots of different makes and models, and a great company. I do have a TriggerTech, and that's all we offer, recommend here to customers. It's in my personal rifle. I have a straight shoe two-stage and a curved shoot two-stage, and I'm struggling to pick out which one I like the best. So the nice part is you have lots of options. The bad part is you have lots of options, but to see them all, you can stop over to triggertech.com. That's triggertech.com today. So we have a new media individual here working with us, Brady. He's doing a great job for the last several weeks. You come on board, you'll see that there's a lot more video work being done. He's posting a lot up on YouTube and a lot of really cool shorts. We did one minutes versus mills, which was one of our old archived videos. You can stop over to YouTube and sort of follow along and see all the stuff that he's posting up there. It's pretty cool. We also posted up an unveil of my match rifle for 2024, and we'll be doing a video on the assembly, just a little quick, how do we install a rifle? How do we put it all together? And it's not an instructional. It's just for entertainment purposes. But we did an unveil on Jamie's rifle for 2024. If you want to see it, you can stop over to YouTube, look for Wolf Precision. It's live, and then the next video will be posted up probably today or tomorrow on the assembly of it, and just to go over how the rifle went. And then we are doing some filming at the range. Super fun rifle, super comfortable, and we'll be able to do a showcase at the range and what we do with it when we get it there too. So you can stop over to our YouTube channel. We're going to do several series on there at no charge. This is not part of Patreon. If you do like the YouTube channel and you like the podcast, you like to support it, we have 2 tiers on our Patreon page. It's $3 and $20 a month if you like to support either or. We certainly appreciate it. It helps a long ways with all the equipment and production and stuff that we do here to help present the content and make the content. So you can do that. And if you like the content as well, if you'd like to give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating or share this information or the podcast with other people, that helps a lot with our ratings too as well. So we did add 2 more long-range shooting schools for 2024. They are live. I think we have a total of 8 slots left. Love to have you if you'd like to join us. And then also you'll see that our Wolf Pack is up, and you'll see that our tiers are up, and we are producing videos for that content now. We're super excited to get all that up there and archived for everybody and anybody at any time. Remote teaching has taught us that we can share a lot of great content for people to take advantage of. And for the long-range shooting school, half the battle is just good information, sharing with you the do's and don'ts, and then letting you practice. It's sort of like nobody gets on a motorcycle and teaches you how to drive it. Everybody shows you, and then you have to practice. And I think long-range shooting sort of falls into that category, is that nobody can get in your skin on the gun and teach you how to shoot the rifle. We can show you, we can mentor, we can move things around, but in the end, It's about information that now you're going to take in, and now you're going to learn how to ride that motorcycle. You're going to learn how to work the clutch or feather the clutch. You're going to learn how to come to a stop with one foot down. You're going to learn how to go into a turn by pushing the handlebars opposite of the turn. These are things that you're taught and then you practice. And I feel that the online long-range shooting school has a massive value to a lot of shooters, because I would say 80% of the battle and frustration is just the information, and starting with good information and learning the rules of the road and then getting out and practicing. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. We really appreciate it. It's been a great several years working on the podcast and putting out podcasts every week. I thought I'd run out of content to talk about when I first started it, but as we keep working along, there's a list that's a mile long of all the things we could cover, including trying to bring some guests on and guest speakers to talk about a little bit of their experiences in the shooting world and what they've accomplished as well. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it. My name is Jamie Dodson. I'm your host, and you're listening to Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.